I've written for people who own a mountain. I've written for people who earn tens of millions of dollars. I've written for people who have owned half of a city and have drug dealt all over it. So now we're gonna talk about, what do I actually do? What does a ghostwriter actually do? Does he only like write your tweets and that's it? And initially it was, but then it transformed into something else, something much more, how to say it, more leveraged, easier to fulfill. So we're gonna talk about it. Now, the people I'm looking for when I ghostwrite is ideally people who have already done something really, really cool with their lives. Just because if people haven't done super cool stuff, then it's hard. They don't think about stuff a certain way that's really interesting. It's hard to write for them because Twitter is not so much about writing. Twitter is much more about ideas and people. Like, people follow other people because everyone wants to be friends with a cool guy. If you position your client as the cool guy, it's so much easier to get people to flock to them. They'll be happy with you, they'll keep paying you. Anyway, I try to look for people with cool stories, which is why I always ask in the beginning of our calls, what are some things that you've done are impressive? And they'll tell me like, I own this, I own that, I've done this, I've done that. And it kind of helps me frame like, okay, is this somebody that people want to associate with? And most of the time they are. I also write, at the moment, who I write for is usually startup people, SaaS founders, those kind of people, because they understand the power of Twitter. They know how much it can bring. Like, we recently launched Tweet Hunter. It got us from 5K to 15K MRR in a week just from my account. So it was incredible. And it has a lot of power. You can do a lot of things on Twitter. You can connect with a lot of people. So I like them. And because they're not particularly good at it, although they have great stories. That's my target market. I really like to go after that one. And anyway, how do I actually write? So in the beginning, we'll get on a call. I'll vet them. If you have a cool story, then yeah, we can work together. And then we get on something that I call the Joe Rogan call. A Joe Rogan call is essentially like a podcast, but I'll ask questions designed to get the client talking. So they'll start talking and they'll say some really cool stuff, like how do they think, mental models. Maybe they've met, I don't know, freaking Elon Musk, right? They met Elon Musk and here are 10 lessons that you taught them. Like, so easy to write a thread on it, right? And then I'll ask a couple questions that help us frame the call in the right way. Number one is, what do people think is impressive about you that you've done? Another one is, when people ask you questions in the DMs, what do they ask for? Because it allows you to solve FAQs. Another one is, what do you want to teach? And what are some ways that you can, break it down into simple topics? And another question that I really like, which account is playing the game like you want to play it? And that's very important, because once you think about, okay, these are the guys that I want to assimilate, it gets so much easier, right? Because you can engage with them and be, ahead of them. You can be in front of their audience. You can also assimilate their voice. You can also talk about the topics that they talk about. You can connect that way. And usually when you write for these kind of people, you don't really want to write in a baity way. There's always like this baity tweets that you can do. Like, wealth is better than being rich. Right? Being wealthy is better than being rich. Or society tells you this, I tell you this, but the government tells you that. I get it, because it helps with engagement, but it doesn't really help with leverage. What you really want to do if you're starting out, or your client is just starting out, you want to think about which people do we want to attract to this kind of stuff. We want to attract high profile people. High profile people are not really interested in platitudes and that kind of stuff. They're interested in mental models, dynamics, people who don't flex that much, but that you can clearly see that they are big whales. So there's kind of the, I don't know, maybe the dichotomy between, you want to make your client look incredibly good, but you also don't want to flex, right? So you got to find that balance. The Joe Rogan call helps us with that. So something I'll do is I'll go on YouTube and search for thumbnails, and I'll look at popular channels thumbnails like Ty Lopez, Dan Lok, all these, I don't want to say anything on camera, but all these gurus, right? And I'll look at how do they talk and how do these thumbnails go out. And it's really cool because these thumbnails be like, I met Elon Musk, 10 lessons and learn. Amazing. I spent $100,000 in coaching. Here are some things that I learned. Incredible title. I built this business from scratch while I was on welfare. Here are some lessons on grit and perseverance that you can use. Another one, it's like, I built this in X many years, and here's a lesson on how maybe a pair of glasses changed my life. You can base the idea of it. Another time I was writing for this health guy, right? And he had a thread about zinc. And zinc is like a mineral that you take. I don't know what it's for. And the title of the thread was something like Zinc, the hidden key for ultimate performance for sports people. And I was thinking, okay, that's a good title, but it's a little vague. So I was researching. Turns out a lot of athletes use zinc, like Cristiano Ronaldo, football player. The thread turned out something like Zinc, the hidden secret that makes you 1% closer to Cristiano Ronaldo's performance, the elite Manchester United Football Club performer. Like, it's so much better, right? Once you see how other people do it. Now, I like to do 8 threads a month. This is not set in stone, but I do like it twice a week. I will come up with those thread titles after I've asked all the questions that I need. And then what I'll do is I'll think, okay, who has the audience that you would like to have? And most of the time they tell me like big guys, right? And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can't get a multi-billion-dollar company owner to retweet you, but I'll get people on your niche, right? Maybe it's SaaS, maybe it's startups, maybe it's fitness, whatever. Because that's something cool about Twitter. You connect with a lot of people. And just because I'm in writing, startup, that kind of Twitter, doesn't mean I don't have friends in the fitness industry or in the spirituality or dating or I don't know, freaking real estate industry. So kind of hit them up and you want to have goodwill with them. So that's why you want to engage with them. You want to make them favors. You want to give them ideas for their business and you're going to give until it comes time to ask. And you ask them like, yo, how much is it for a retweet? Or for like 8 retweets or 30 retweets, and they'll tell you an amount. So you take a piece of what they paid you and you pay them for retweets. That way you not only write threads, you not only write tweets, but you also distribute them. And that's what people really want. Like people have worked with me not because so much of how I write, because anybody can write a good tweet, but not many people have the leverage on the audience that I provide as a ghostwriter. So that's something that you can use. And once you schedule those things and then you get your retweet army, and because you told a really cool story, like people just flock to your clients because you're doing exactly the right thing. You're putting the bait and you're bringing the trap. Easy as fuck to grow. So this was just a little lesson on how I ghostwrite for clients. Maybe you can use it for yourself. Maybe you can use it to get clients. Maybe if you're, if you want to work with me, I don't write anymore, but if you wanted to, shape your writing strategy, you can use this video to do so. Anyway, thank you for listening. And this is the second time I do that, but make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon. Gracias familia. Un abrazo. Nos vemos.